Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I'm joined this week by David. And we are here to share with you the most inspiring, practical, and powerful wisdom and tools to navigate you through this coming week. We've chosen the topic of spirituality for this month-long series, and today we're talking about the power of spiritual community. The reason for that and the focus specifically this week is because in this month of Aquarius, which began last Thursday, Aquarians are known for their tendency to hover above the crowd, to be, we said last week, outside of the box, that really for them there is no box. They've never heard of a box, and in a good way. However, one of the pitfalls to being so expansive and unlimited in your thinking and behavior is it's easy to forget about the people around you. And last week we had a super spot on question from a viewer who asked, what do you do when the people around you aren't spiritual and at the same time you don't want to lose their friendship? And I think that opens a conversation, and what we're going to talk about today is really about why we're around other people, how other people can really be a spiritual tool for us, and what our role in a friend group, in a spiritual community, in even our family is, and how, I guess, the mutual benefit for everyone involved. So you may be listening and thinking, well, I have my spiritual community, I'm okay, or I'd rather do this work on my own. Hopefully by the end of the next 50 minutes, you'll understand that if you are trying to do it on your own, you're really missing out.
I'm personally excited about this show. I think I've got, I'm writing down here a couple different topics that I feel are going to be new for our audience that have to do with, because it really comes down to is energy transfer. And I think a big complaint that a lot of people have is they get affected by their environment in a negative way. So we don't like that we are affected in negative ways. We don't like the roller coaster of emotions and feelings we have. Kabbalistically, I think that fulfillment is defined by whether you can choose to be feeling a certain way versus that choice being made for you by something going your way or not. So think about it. If today your investments don't go in the direction you want, or certain decisions don't go in the direction that you want, or the behavior of your children doesn't go in the direction you want, and then that affects the way you feel, and you start to feel sad or down or whatever, that's a very miserable way to live, because also you're always living in fear. You'll start trying to control and micromanage everything. And then even when things are going well, you're afraid that they're not going to go well. So you never really get to enjoy. And then that is how the impure system, that system that is controlled by the opponent, that negative force in this world, that's how he wins. Right? It makes you chase something, and then even when you get that thing, you don't feel the energy that he promised this whole time.
Can you expand a little bit on the opponent? Because the environment and the role it plays in triggering and awakening and having us look at that force, I think, is a big part of today's conversation.
If we have new listeners, we always recommend to take Kabbalah 1, the most powerful course that we have. And in Kabbalah 1, we teach that because the soul's purpose is to come to this world, undergo a series of tests, many, many, many tests, so that it, through its free will, can reveal its power, reveal its light. In order to experience free will, we need a dark force that is equal to the light that you can reveal. So, for example, if you're meant to reveal this tremendous form of goodness and positivity, you'll have this equal negative force that appears as if it's negative. It will challenge you, and it will make you feel all the feelings and emotions that you don't like, that you don't want, to give you the opportunity to overcome them. And it's really that simple. So this negative force we learn in Kabbalah is a very intricate system. It's comprised of, and we call it the impure system.
David likes to call it the impure system.
Well, I'm taking from the words of the Kabbalists. It's called the impure system. That's what it's called. And it's really fascinating when you learn about it, right? So sometimes when you feel afraid, that's one force. When you feel lazy, that's another force. when you feel all of a sudden like your lust is like taking over, and you know that you get destructive with that energy, that's a different type of a force. And these forces have names. It's so fascinating when you learn about it. Maybe we need to have a whole show where we just describe all the negative forces.
I actually wanted to have it this month, and it got tabled for something else. But it's definitely on the to-do list.
I mean, would you as our audience like to hear about all the negative forces, the negative angels, the negative spirits, the negative energies, what their jobs are, what their roles are, how they affect you, the times of the day they affect you, the ways that they make you feel? I think it's very fascinating, because then you understand it's not just you're feeling bad. There is something that is causing you to feel that way, and you have the power to overcome it.
Well, I think I asked David to expand on it, because in that teaching is a very powerful lesson about why we need other people around us. You can imagine that if you found a beautiful mountaintop and built yourself a lovely home and had a beautiful farm outside and made your own food and grew your own fruits and vegetables, and chickens laid you eggs, and etc. and so forth, and you created a reality in which you didn't need other people.
All right.
How beautiful that life would be. How stress-free, how calm, how peaceful. Now, I'm sure some of you are saying, oh my God, I'd go crazy. But there are others of you that are thinking, wow, that's nirvana. The Creator put us on a planet with 7 billion other people, because it's through other people that we learn about our own transformation. So when you have the thought, you made me so mad, or it's not my fault, I was raised this way, right? We have these blaming and finger pointing attitudes. I'm not even saying, I don't even mean we utter those words. We may never utter those words, but we think in that way. What we're really saying is that I have no control. I am at the mercy of the people around me. Kabbalah comes and then teaches us that the reason those people elicit those responses and reactions from us is because in the awakening of those responses, it's really our opponent, that voice inside us that says, tell him off, show him who's boss, nobody understands me. That's not, according to Kabbalah, that's not us. That's the voice of our opponent. And the universe was set up so that everybody has this virtual reality suit. The body comes with an opponent, and the opponent is there to challenge us to overcome that voice, those forces. So one of the beautiful opportunities that comes with surrounding yourself with other people, whether they are spiritual or not, they do not have to be spiritual in order to facilitate this inner process, is that by being around other people, you will inevitably have your own garbage reflected back to you. There's no way really for you to grow as a spiritual human being without other people to trigger you, to show you where the transformation is.
And I have here to get to the meat of the subject. We have here the ways that we get affected by the energy of our external. So the goal from learning this next lesson is, how do I strengthen myself so that negative energy doesn't come into me and permeate like a cancer inside my brain, inside my heart, inside my organs, which then eventually make me feel a certain way. Right? I imagine everyone listening right now would love the power to take control, because I think our environment recently especially has become very draining. People can become very drained, and these negative energies keep finding unique ways of getting into our lives. Even though you may say, I'm done with it, I don't want to hear this anymore, I don't want to listen to this anymore, I don't want to hang out with that person anymore, I'm not going to date this person or these type of people anymore, it always finds a way back into your life. And we have to understand, what is the trick that the opponent's playing to get back in. So, and I want to throw in kind of like, everything we talk about is actually biblically sourced. We never really talk about it because we try to stay really mainstream.
Once in a while
we plug it in there. And I want to mention a really powerful concept. Some people might be like, wait, what did you say? Or some people are like, wow, it's really cool.
No, I like it when you do. All right, go for it.
So one of the main characters that is the source of all spiritualities and religions that Kabbalah adheres to is Abraham, right? So we know this name, Abraham, but Kabbalists actually say the name that is given to each person actually has a very big spiritual value and energy. So the word Abraham wasn't just an arbitrary name that was given. It actually has a secret. So the numerical value of Abraham, when you basically break down the letters in the original Hebrew language and you assign a numerology to each one, comes out to 248. Okay, that's Abraham's numerical value, 248. So, and how we did that is imagine the letter A is 1 and B is 2.
Like Roman numerals.
Yeah, like Roman numerals, fine. So what is that significant? So the Kabbalists say we have 248 aspects to our body, like bone segments. And we have, as a result, we have 248 parts to our soul.
The body is a reflection of the soul. So
exactly.
It's because the soul has 248 parts, therefore the body does.
Therefore, the body is created as these 2 hands with 10 fingers. And these aren't arbitrary things. Like, why didn't we have 12 fingers or 3 fingers? So this is all spiritual in nature. Okay, these are all energies. And when a person is born with 10 fingers, there's a spiritual energy that's in balance. And sometimes if there's not, right, there's different corrections, past life, no one can get into it. So going back to Abraham, 248, it means that name, Abraham, means that he reached the level of perfection, that he controlled all the 248 parts of his body, and as a result, his soul, or his soul, and as a result, his body. But interestingly enough, if you read the Bible, his name used to be not Abraham, but I guess the way Abram, right? Without like
the H,
the H. And numerically, the H is 5. Okay, so let's just look at the energy. He used to be numerically 243. His name used to be Abram, and then it became Abraham. So they added the letter H, and then it became 248. It became perfect because 248 is the number of perfection.
I just want to point out there that his wife's name changed.
Also,
by 5.
By 5. Also, she got the H, right?
Yes, but her name went down. His name, she gave him the 5.
Wink,
wink,
powerful.
ladies. She gave
right.
him the missing 5.
That's right. She got the H, but she lost the Y, and the Y is numerical value 10. That's right. That's very powerful. I didn't even think about that.
Mic drop.
Yep. That's another class. Every time I don't want to talk about something, I just say it's another class. So
another episode, if you will.
As to not be dismissive. So what's significant about this 5 that Abraham got? It says that he then, I guess now with the power of his wife, overcame the 5 ways that the opponent affects us. And they are through your eyes, your ears, through I guess you could say like touch, or I get taste, touch, and then smell. So these are the 5 ways that negativity tries to enter your life. And if you look at any negativity that's in your life right now, right? Imagine like what's going on in your life right now that is not where it should be. Maybe it's your relationships, there's problems there. Your financial situation, there's problems there. Could just be everything's physically good, but your mind is constantly being, in a stressful situation and you constantly receive negative thoughts. It means that one of these 5 gates is open. Like you left the lock open and the thieves and the robbers are coming in and taking whatever they want. So and when you don't have security or guards at these gates, people come in and take whatever they want. I was talking to somebody, she lives in Arizona. She was like, it happened twice this week. I went to a store and I went to a clothing store to buy some clothes, and some guy just walks in. He just grabs a bunch of the clothes and he just walked out of the store. So I said, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, people. And then she's like, I went to the manager and I said, did you see that guy just walked out with all the clothes? He's like, yeah, I know. She's like, you're not going to do anything about it? He's like, no, what can we do? And then she said she went to like a sunglass hut or something. Some other guy just walks in, takes his expensive glasses, puts them on,
walks out,
walks right up. And she's like, wait, did he pay for that? The guy's like, no. And she's like, well, you're not gonna do something about it? He's like, no, what can I do? This is just interesting that I heard that this week. It made me think of, it's interesting about the climate that we're in right now, but it's kind of like there's no more guards at the gate. So energies can come in and out. They can do whatever they want. And we are that way. We don't put guards at our eyes and our ears and our mouth with our touch. We're just very reckless with these 5 gates. And as a result, that's how negativity enters and causes like a metaphysical cancer inside of us. So I was going to go through each one, but I want to stop right there. If we have questions,
I
or do you
need
want to
your
add something
help.
to it?
I need your help tying this to the topic of the week.
Which is, your environment.
Okay.
Right. So when are you affected by your environment? When you're weak in these 5 areas. Because here's the bottom line secret. As soon as you depend on an energy, you are affected by that energy. As soon as you depend on an energy, you are affected by it.
So can we do like a real life example?
Yeah, I'll give you. Do you have one?
I know that when it comes to being in any group dynamic, which we have to take a second and recognize that one of the byproducts of the pandemic is isolation, right? That there has been a degree of cutting out of a lot of the social interactions, even spiritual community-based interactions, right? We're no longer gathering together in any way, shape, or form to the degree that we were, let's say, a year ago. So there is somehow the universe is asking us in a way to be on guard, or maybe putting in guards without asking us, right? Creating a degree of barriers between us and others, which invites us to be more judicious about what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, and what we touch. But the reality is, by having that, let's say, for example, you have what does everybody think about me? What are people thinking about me? And people, those of us who try and control our image, how we come across. And the flip side of that same coin is nobody understands me, nobody gets me, I'm going to be misunderstood. So take that one and go to town.
So, well, I was going to start, let me start with a simple example and then I'll lead up to that. Okay. Simple example would be, we, for example, we meet with people, we guide people, we coach people.
David means David and I. Guide people, meet people, guide people,
yeah,
coach
so that's
people.
One of the things we do.
Virtually, of course, right now.
Yeah, that's one of the things we do. Now, so you'll meet somebody who's going maybe through a tough time, or doesn't have the best consciousness, or maybe has no spiritual background. You meet them for the first time. You're spending an hour of your day with them. And sometimes if you have 10 meetings a day, you have 10 hours where you're connecting with people who might be complaining to you, sharing all the negativity that's going on in their life, or sharing what this other person did to them. And there's a lot of like evil speech. It's 10 hours, think about it, it's 10 hours of negativity. That technically means that I'm surrounding myself with 10 hours of negativity. So where's my head going to be by the end of the day, right? So if you spent 10 hours of somebody speaking evil speech, you would be in a very destructive place. I don't care who you are. That energy will eat you alive. But somehow we do it. We've done it for 2 decades, and we're not going crazy. This is something that Karen, our mentor teacher, I heard, is if you need the person to feel good about, if you need that person's respect or that their attention, or you're trying to take something from them, be it respect, be it money, be it whatever. If you need validation, if you're needy of them, at that moment, that negativity then enters you. But if you're there purely as you're there to add value, you could care less if that student was there or not. You could care less if that meeting was canceled or not. You could care less what they thought of you.
And by the way, that translates to any of you who work in an industry where you have clients and you service clients, right? Many times the worry is they're going to go work, they're going to find another service provider. They're going to go to my competition. They're going to go to the salesman at the desk next to me because I can't. So David is sharing something not only for Kabbalah teachers to remember, it's really anybody who's in a position of service.
Any provider of energy, a product, service, time, as soon as you depend on that person and you think, well, that person is giving me my sustenance, or that person is giving me a purpose, that's a big one, or that person is giving me whatever, then you become affected by them, which means that you receive their negativity and they have the power to walk in and steal your sunglasses, steal your energy. And then you could, at the end of the day, feel drained and feel negative. And why that's significant is we have to constantly remember and reset our consciousness before every meeting. I don't need this person. I'm not looking to take from this person. Even if they're writing you a check or paying for your time, in your mind, you have to say, well, they're paying so that they don't have what's called bread of shame that we learn in Kabbalah 1, so that they feel that they earned this meeting. I don't need the money. Well, what if you actually need the money? This is the secret. You have to, even if you're broke, you have to feel that you're not broke when you're in business. There's nothing, when someone's needy or like they need money or they need energy and they're doing business with you, it's not a good feeling. You want to be with.
Everybody knows that. Remember when we used to go shopping at department stores and a salesperson would come up to you and ask you like 900 times if you need anything.
Right.
So you would know that it's a commission-based sale. I mean, I personally wasn't not so bothered by it. I actually feel compassion, for that need and that role, and I might even make up a question just to have a connection with them and let them feel good. But there is that kind of like, I don't really want to,
Right.
That,
as soon as you feel they need the commission more, or even equal to the fact that they want you to have a nice dress or a nice suit, it turns you off because there's an energy, a negative energy transfer.
Yeah, I want to make sure it's clear to everybody. That's not a judgment call. We're not talking about having judgmental thoughts about the salesperson. We're
talking to you if you are the salesperson.
No, it's the law of the universe that any vacuum of energy that's created, the natural response is to push back.
That's correct.
We're illustrating an example of a spiritual law. It's like a law of physics. It's a law of spirituality that vacuum, it automatically awakens a pushback. It's not you. It's the universe.
That's correct. Now, here's the thing: if that salesperson did not have a commission, this is equally obnoxious and also not connected to the light of the Creator. Well, she has no incentive to come up to you. No personal incentive to come up to you. And sometimes you walk into a store and you're like, hey, and they're like, they don't even care to talk to you. They don't even care if you buy or don't buy. That's also a problem because you're not a giver. So what's the secret here? The secret is, whether you're on commission or not, to give.
And commission is, of course, now a metaphor,
yes.
Right? It's not we're not actually talking about those of you who work on commission.
Commission means you need something, or you have the potential to receive something from the other person. It's okay to receive. It's not okay to need.
Right.
It's not okay to need. So
by the way, the word Kabbalah means to receive. So the whole study of
just
Kabbalah,
not to take.
It's not taking, it's not needing, it's receiving. And that's one of the secrets in this teaching is if you've been feeling like you're taking or you need, here is the switch that needs to be flipped in order for that energy to change.
Right. So let's play the role. If you are on commission, which means you need something from this other person. You need it for your livelihood. You need it to post results. You need whatever.
For your self-esteem.
You have to, at that moment, meditate. Close your eyes and say, okay, I'm going to go help this person buy some clothing. But I'm also excited that I'm going to get a commission from this. So you have to close your eyes and say, it's not about the commission. I don't want the commission. The fact that I'll get one, great. That's because they need to pay for the dress and then the store needs to pay me, but that's what they need to do. It's not what I need. I want to delete this completely and pretend like you're selling the dress to like your daughter or your son or whatever. You're not going to try to like upsell them for your commission. You genuinely care about them. That's the meditation if you are going to receive something from a person. Now, what if you're at a party and someone comes up to you that you need nothing from, or an event and you need nothing from, like this person cannot add any value to you whatsoever. And they come up to you and say, can I ask for your help? And you're like, yeah, what is it? Because you don't need anything from them. So you're not even interested in helping them. At that moment, the fact that you're not going to get anything from them, it's kind of like now is the perfect time to give. And I remember our teachers used to tell us, at least once a day, you should share something with someone where there's nothing they can do for you. Like there's no value you're going to get from them. Just to practice giving where there's nothing that can be received. I know we're kind of going off topic
No,
here.
I'm so excited to bring it back to the topic. Just waiting for you to finish.
No, we kind of went down that rabbit hole of how to interact in relationships so that the energy is balanced.
But it's so important in a spiritual community to be true to you and to be cognizant of your energy flow, whether it's vacuum, the flow is vacuum, or the flow is wind tunnel.
Right.
Because a lot of times people seek a spiritual community. When I say spiritual community, we could be talking about a church, a temple, a yoga studio, a meditation group. There's so many. I mean, I don't want to, we're not talking about one or the other, but when we seek to surround ourselves with like-minded individuals, and not only like-minded, but like-purposed individuals, inevitably the opponent is going to show up in some way that's going to say, I need to look this way, or I need to sound this way. I may only wear yoga pants from now on, or I may become a vegan, or I may use phrases or quote scripture because that's what everybody else around me is doing. What David is saying is that one of the most important things about engaging in any interaction with any other individual, even more so on a spiritual basis, is to be conscious, to be aware of, where am I coming from? Am I coming from a taking place? Do I need anything? And by the way, that example of when you don't need anything from that person, the natural response is to dismiss, right? I have learned in my studies, I have learned that it's usually when you don't need, you don't have the time, you don't have the answer, right? When someone asks you something and you don't know, it's very easy to make up the answer. It's even more powerful to say, I don't know, but I'd love to find out, right? And so that the recognition, I think that this is first and foremost the most important thing. And I realize we're halfway through the show, and I'm saying it's the most important idea. The recognition is that whatever's going on around me is to facilitate some growth and some change within me. And if I'm not first checking where I'm at before entering that engagement, that interaction, I'm probably going to miss the mark.
I've learned, and this advice was given to me for public speaking 20 years ago, was the reason you're afraid to speak in front of a crowd or a group or even a couple people is because you're looking to take something from them. So all fear comes
meaning how they're going to receive me is going to define my value, my worth, my mood, all that stuff.
Well, I'm starting macro, and then we're going to the micro. So the macro means if I'm afraid, it means I'm looking to receive. That's the first law. Okay, so anytime you're afraid of anything, it's because you are looking to receive something, and that is now putting you in a state of fear because you're afraid you're not going to have, or you're going to lose it, or whatever it is. So I remember the public speaking consciousness was, well, okay, so then I need to audit myself before I go out on stage. I said, well, what am I looking for here? Well, I want people to respond to me well. I don't want people to fall asleep. I don't want people to boo me, which has happened. I've been booed. I don't want people to heckle. I want people to tell their friends how great I am, right? And then it goes down that rabbit hole of how many things then you really realize you're trying to take from the audience. But I'm here to deliver a message, right? I'm here to just teach Kabbalah. Like, why is it so complicated? And then you realize, maybe 20% of me is looking to teach Kabbalah. The other 80% is looking for, 300 people to like me. So as soon as you can become real about that, then you can say, all right, this 80%, I don't want it. And it's hard because you just have to be conscious of it. Because if you're conscious of it, you neutralize it. You don't have to correct your whole lifetime at that moment, correct all your negativity. You just got to catch it. Say, well, there's 80% of me that wants them to like me. Okay, great. Then I would say, Creator, this is my prayer. Help me. I don't need anything from the audience. I just want to go out there and deliver a message. And at the beginning, it's going to feel fake. But if you keep practicing that over and over again, you get to this place where you realize whether they like you, they don't like you, you're there to give something.
And you don't need 300 people in front of you to have an audience. One person in front of you is enough of an audience.
Yes, and the irony of it is, as soon as you get to that consciousness, then everybody likes you. But if you're thinking, do they like you? That's when they don't like you. People don't like people
who want to be liked. Okay, I have a really great question, and I want to both answer it and tune it into today's topic because I think it's so beautifully connected to both the micro and the macro, but let's do the micro first. Natalie is asking, what if you want to feel the light of the Creator? Is that still needing something?
What if I want to feel the light of the... We should want to feel the light of the
Right.
Creator. Okay, but here it is. The highest level, and then getting to the nuances, the highest level of wanting to feel the light of the Creator is knowing the Creator wants to be revealed
Through me.
And therefore, it's almost like I'm doing the favor for the Creator. Now, if I need to feel the light of the Creator because I feel empty, whatever, well, then that's when people get in trouble, because then they're like, well, how do I feel the light of the Creator? Well, maybe drugs can help me. Maybe this can help me. Maybe that can help me. And then you start going into this paranoia where you can go to addictive behavior.
Right. Well, I think that first we have to clarify, I think we all relate the feeling of the light force of the Creator, of God, of Spirit, of universe, to feeling good. Right? When Natalie's saying, I want to feel the light of the Creator, I would imagine that Natalie is saying, I want to feel fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel enlightened, empowered, inspired, like I'm in the right place at the right time, like I have the right words at the right time. And many times, that's not how the light feels. So I think the first thing is to say, to be clear, what am I looking to experience? Because Natalie and everyone else who's listening to us right now, the light of the Creator is inside you. Really, our work is removing, I like to think of it, and I actually believe I got this metaphor from you maybe 20 years ago, listening to a lecture you gave, maybe not 20, maybe 15. You can imagine that your soul is like a movie projector. And I don't mean like, actually, there are modern ones also. I was going to say most people don't even realize what a movie projector is, but you know, they still somewhere where there's theaters running, they put the film reel in the machine, and there is a lamp that shines so brightly it projects the film onto the screen. Mm-hmm. Your soul is that projector. And the thing, the work that we talk about this every week on the Weekly Energy Boost is really all about how to remove the filters between the projector and the screen. We're talking about removing the barriers and the blockages, the schmutz and the schmears and the dust that are causing the broadcast, causing the experience of the movie to be flawed, to be dark, to be unclear, to be clouded. And the more we remove that dirt, the better we'll experience the movie. So that projector, the lamp inside that projector doesn't ever turn off. That light is always on. That's a homing device. That is your intuition. That is your true voice. That is where the inspiration, when you have an idea that comes from the Creator, it's not that it beams down, right? There's not a little bubble that comes out of the cosmos and pops in front of you and then you get an idea. There is a broadcast that's coming from within that's transmitting that's receiving it. And that light does not diminish. So when Natalie says, or any of us say, I want more light in my life, what are we really saying? What barriers, what blockages, what obstacles, veils, and curtains can I remove so that I can experience the already bright light within me to a higher degree? And that's why I'm saying sometimes the removal of those curtains isn't fun. It's not enjoyable. Recognizing that you're needy for someone's energy or someone's money or someone's attention is painful, but that's light. And bringing yourself into an environment where I know that for me, being involved in a spiritual community means I'm inviting my coworkers, my colleagues, my friends to call me on my stuff when they see it. I want to know, in that meeting, you sounded like you own the universe. You need to take it down a notch, girlfriend. I want to hear that at the end. Actually, I kind of don't want to hear it, but of course, my soul wants to hear it. I want to know when I'm off, when I'm selfish, when I'm harsh. I want to know. And inevitably, like David said, if I'm in that taking vibe, it's because I'm afraid of something and I want to know. And that to me is one of the values of having that system around me, but also knowing that just because I'm uncomfortable, it not only doesn't mean that there isn't light, it's probably an indication that there's more light than when I feel really good about myself.
Opposition it means you're being needy. So any opposition, if it's not flowing in that area, it means you're being needy for something. And it could be It could be something that's very apparent to you, or it could be something very, very hidden, like you're trying to, you didn't have a good relationship with your dad, so this is like your new dad, right? Like this person you're dating is like to replace your dad, or I'm just kind of came to my mind. Even that's needy, or your children don't respect you for whatever reason, and you think they should, or what, and then you need that. You need them to respect you, and you justify it by saying, well, children who respect their parents have better lives. That's all the way you justify your negativity. That doesn't mean that it's okay to be that way. So in summary, if you're needy of anything, or you're waiting for an apology from somebody, to the extent that you're waiting, you're needy, you're creating opposition in that area, and the universe is blocking actually giving you the fulfillment you're looking for in that area. And the importance of why we need to have a strong environment, I think we should be very surgical about our environment. And environment doesn't just mean people. It also means like I regularly try to detox my Facebook. Sometimes I just regularly like muting people's stories. Like as soon as I see a story that took my energy and wasted it, or maybe like, all of a sudden something negative they posted, and I realized, okay, this was negative energy, I just mute the story. I just mute the person. I don't know if I don't know if
remember
muting them.
Marcus called you on that last week?
What was it?
That you were saying that you were watching something, a trailer, and it triggered you, so you just decided, I just shut it off.
That's different. So I'm saying if I saw something that brought up fear in me, that's different. You need to approach it. But if all of a sudden someone makes a post and it's like, I don't know, they're half nude and they're trying to show off or something like that, there's different types of things that are kind of just like I remember one time with my student, he was trying to find his soulmate. He's like, I want to find my soulmate. Like, well, the first thing we can do is let's go through your Instagram. And his Instagram was like 50 accounts of like random women that he shouldn't be following. I'm like, why are you following them? He's like, he didn't have an answer for me. So obviously it meant he was exposed to some kind of energy or some kind of neediness that was being destructive for him, or wasting his time or whatever, right? And by the way, everybody can kind of take that lesson and apply it in their own way. But I know for myself, I want to be very careful about what I'm regularly exposed to. And it doesn't mean that you should be like extreme and cut everything out.
Only Bible accounts, Bible quotes on my Instagram.
And you have to find that balance. But if you see something repeatedly is taking you away, so try living your life without it. That's kind of the way. Now it becomes more complicated when we're talking about muting like your mom. Like you don't mute your mom, right? You don't just hang up on your mom. So there's different relationships that need to be addressed in different ways. So we're not saying to be extreme at everybody, but the time you spend with people. I know sometimes I would spend time with people for a couple hours and I'd always feel leaving drained. I didn't feel like I left being the right person.
You're giving me a great lead in, because at the beginning of the show, I mentioned that question that we got last week about, your friends, you're spiritual, your friends are not spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that without losing them?
Right.
I had a student of mine in our meeting this week. She brought up, she had listened to the episode on toxic relationships, and she was telling me about a toxic relationship she has with someone, and she doesn't want to lose the friendship, but she also doesn't want to talk to the person.
Sure.
And that editing of I think that's a good word for whether you're talking about social media, or you're talking about your social circle, editing the interaction provides a huge opportunity, not only for discipline, I'll call it, but also for your own awareness, your own negativity, right? So we have a question here from somebody who's saying, how can you stop people next to you talking negatively? That isn't always, I would say 90% of the time, it's not an option to stop them from talking. I would also say that 90% of the negativity we hear is a broadcast. It's not often anymore I'm 6 feet away from David and David is talking badly about somebody. That is a more unusual experience these days than, watching someone rant and rave on social media or on TV and part of creating that spiritual environment that we've been talking about is not only being able to say, okay, wait a second, I feel negative when I'm talking to you, or I feel drained when I get off the phone with you. And I want to share with you a bit of this conversation we had, and then I want to hear what you said, David. But what we ended up discovering is that this particular student, we'll call her Brenda. Brenda.
Get this name from
Brenda.
Beverly
Hills 90210. Brenda didn't want to call her friend on her negativity.
Okay.
She was afraid that she would lose the friend. And we talked about how she basically was subjecting herself to listening to this. Honestly, she told me she was even being made fun of. Like, her friend was making fun of her. Okay. And she was tolerating it because she didn't want to lose the friend. And we talked about why she doesn't want to lose the friend. What does losing the friendship mean and things like that. But in the end, at the foot of that mountain, what we discovered was her own self-worth issues around not speaking up, not being direct, not being honest. And so what I'm inviting everybody who's listening to us talk about this is, when you notice somebody is speaking negatively, when you notice that you're surrounded by people whose vibration or frequency, vibration sounds spiritual, but now these days when you say vibe, it doesn't sound spiritual. So I'm going to say vibe too. Whether it's their vibration or their vibe doesn't jive with you, there's also an opportunity not only to shove it away or to cut it out, but also to ask ourselves, what is showing up about me that I don't like and I can change? That, to me, again, I mentioned before, I would like to be called on my stuff. The power of having, you don't need the people around you. Here's the answer. You don't need people around you to be spiritual, for them to be part of your spiritual community. Because if you are willing and open to learn from everyone around you, that automatically makes whoever is around you part of your spiritual community.
And I would say that people love saying how your environment creates who you are, but we really need to understand that who we are is what's creating our environment. So when people say, oh, my mom does this and she's always negative, well, the truth is, I've seen that when people make the effort to look inside themselves and realize and be honest with themselves that they are the kind of person that likes a little drama, that accepts verbal abuse or whatever it is, that there's always a part of us that maybe we're not fully aware of or acknowledging or honest about, that doesn't mind a little bit of toxicity. And as a result, we give permission to the universe to surround us with those kinds of people.
Or to attract those scenarios that are dramatic and gossip-worthy.
Sure, exactly. And then we say, I wish it wasn't like that. I wish they wouldn't speak so much gossip. Yeah, but the truth is, deep down inside yourself, there is a part of you that likes it too. And because you like it, the universe must abide by your desire. If your desire is, I want 40% drama, 60% stability, then you're going to get 40% drama, 60% stability. Now, you may tell all your friends you only want 100% stability, but that doesn't mean that deep down, on a cellular level, on a PTSD level, on a past life level, you don't actually want a little bit of drama.
And maybe it's because the drama makes you feel like you're okay, right? Like, it doesn't have to be
familiar.
An evil.
It's like my mom's cooking when I was young. It's familiar. It smells and tastes familiar to me.
That's
it's like
not
comfort
what I mean.
Food.
That's not what I, well, okay, that it's
it is
comforting.
Also comfort.
When I see other people's lives are going down in flames, I don't have to work on myself. I'm okay. I realize, you know what, on some level, like David
I'm not
is saying,
falling behind. If
right.
You're falling behind, it means I'm not falling behind.
There you go.
Which
it's true.
Sure.
And I think there are people who may be listening that say, I prefer to do my spiritual work on my own because it is more comfortable to not have those flames fanned, right? I prefer to look at what I want to look at, to control, right? That's the word. I prefer to control the information I receive, the energies around me. I know, and I have done this in different cities around the world. I know you have too. Whenever somebody says, I want to get a group of people together to study Kabbalah, what do you know is going to happen? First thing, some ego warfare is going to ensue. Some friendship is going to be on the rocks because one person decided they want to make the world. They want to reveal some more light on a bigger scale in the world. They want to create a group of spiritual friends. Automatically, you know, somebody's ugly is going to show up. And it's par for the course because, like David said at the beginning of the show, those negative forces, the opponent, the impure system, wants to prevent any future revelation of light. So then it'll suddenly be about he said, she said, and you disrespected me, and this is my group, because that will distract us from revealing the purpose of our soul.
Yeah, trying to arrange a Kabbalah group is not like trying to arrange a poker game. You know? People are like, oh man, when's the next one?
What's the buy-in? I'm in. Name your number. But when it comes to spirituality, how much is it?
So okay. So going back to I want to just mention on a mystical angle that even the stuff that you taste affects you. Right? We actually had this conversation in the car. We're not going to get into the details of it, but the food you eat, how you eat the food.
We need to do a food series. Yeah, I am writing it down because there is so much juice there. Right. Pun intended.
Yeah. And the thoughts you have as you're eating the food will also affect your emotions and we've talked about how souls get reincarnated through animal kingdom, through the plant kingdom, through the mineral kingdom. So all of these factors, the Kabbalists lay them out beautifully. The system of how there's impure system and pure system related to food. So how we taste food and what we smell actually. So there's bad smells actually affect the soul in a negative way, and good smells affect. I think that's pretty easy for people. I think people naturally avoid bad smells.
Not only that, there's all this research around essential oils and things like that can change your mood and affect your nervous system, your immune system.
And we're saying it affects the soul too.
Right.
We're saying it affects the soul. Obviously, the words. I think we've had classes. We've had sessions about words and the power of our words.
And you can search, by the way, in our library. I know that we had that question about people speaking negatively. You can, in the podcast, whatever podcast app you use, or on YouTube, you can look for the series that we've done on words. We've done at least 3, not consecutive, but at various periods in our history. And they are also very juicy and very important.
Yeah. And we talked about touch, the highest level being intercourse, romance, however you want to put it, that affects
intimate touch.
Intimacy. Yeah. Intimate touch is the highest level of touch, which transfers energy. So it's interesting. I read this article, the science basically backs, I forgot what the number was, that the more sexual partners a person has gradually increases their chance of cancer. Isn't that interesting?
That's scary.
Yeah, right? And it was something like crazy. It was like a 96% increase. And obviously they linked it to the spread of these more like dormant STDs, that those things are what caused the cancer. And obviously that study showed that women had it higher than men because they were on the kind of more the receiving end of it. And spiritually speaking, it's the same thing, right? So after intercourse or even a kiss or whatever, we know that the souls are connected. So the tikkun is being transferred. So on the correction of a person, right? So imagine a person.
People exchange corrections.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Think about if all of a sudden you're intimate with someone who has like anxiety about, I don't know, money, and you have an intimate relationship with them, then they're transferring that to you. So you all of a sudden, for some reason, have anxiety about money. But this transfer is happening on a soul level. So we always say, be careful. And it's backed by science. It's obviously happening on a physical level as well, which I found that to be interesting. So this is all part of our environment. So even
your sexual partners are now part of your spiritual community.
Well, yes.
Way to tie that in, David.
I assumed everybody knew that. I knew that it's not just a one-time thing. And it's interesting because even if you spend one night with someone and you never see that person again, it stays with you. It says it's like
7 years.
Is that what? Is that? Yeah. Is that? I heard that.
I know for women.
I couldn't find the source.
I will send you the articles. It's really unbelievable that science actually confirms what the Zohar wrote about 2,000 years ago, is that residue stays.
That's interesting because I did read in the Zohar that if you have a sexual partner it's a negative, it was a negative act, right? It was more one just for lust or whatever, that it stays with you, like a dog that follows its master. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
And not to
Chained to its master.
Chained to its master. So all of a sudden you have thoughts about them, or their energy affects you. It just complicates things. Yeah, it just complicates things.
So that was an
And we're not saying not
twist.
to do it. We're not saying not to do it. We're just saying understand how energy works, right? To be respectful of energy, and this is what Kabbalah does.
Right. That everything that we do has a ripple effect, and obviously that's not the first time that you've heard that. We are going to take this conversation to the next level next week when we talk about connecting with spiritual guides, with spiritual not only leadership but also the metaphysical guides. So please continue to post your questions. We'll answer them during the week. You can also always email us at energyboost@kabbalah.com. You can share the show, send it to friends, tell people about it, because obviously that's how we have the most impact, not only in how you use what you're listening to, but in how you share what you've heard. And we will see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.